News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Roof Rescue. A former member of the Utah State University football staff was arrested last Thursday in connection with the poisoning deaths of a mother and her unborn child. Blaze Taylor was booked into the Cache County Jail on suspicion of being a fugitive from justice. Taylor was arrested on an indictment from a Nashville grand jury charging him with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The accusation alleges that he poisoned his girlfriend, 25-year-old Jade Benning, while visiting her Nashville apartment on February 25th, 2023. Taylor called 911 that night, reporting that Benning appeared to be having an allergic reaction and requesting paramedics. Benning died at Vanderbilt University Medical Center 9 days later on March 6th, her 25th birthday. Her unborn fetus died on February 27th, 2023. Benning was not able to be interviewed by police before she died. Taylor was allegedly the father of the unborn child. Deputy U.S. Marshals, at the request of the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, made the arrest of Taylor in Utah. The 27-year-old was a defensive analyst with the Utah State University football team for a brief time in 2023, but left before he was arrested. His information has already been removed from the USU coaching roster. A spokesperson for the team said Taylor had left earlier this month for a new role and another school. KVNU News Time is 5:05. KVNU weather for tonight. Mostly clear skies, overnight low in the mid-30s, and then sunny, close to 60 degrees tomorrow, sunny close to 60 on Wednesday. This afternoon, very spring-like out there, 67 has been our high. Right now we have 64 at KVNU. Hey, the Best of Northern Utah contest is presented by the Cater Shop Menswear Store. It's time to cast your vote at bestofnorthernutah.com. You can vote once per day in multiple categories. 1,535 nominations this year and over 200 categories to choose from. Help us recognize our local businesses and let your voice be heard. Vote at bestofnorthernutah.com.
Roof Rescue is your local roofing specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
KVNU News Time is 5:06. Bear Lake State Park will be expanding after Idaho Department of Parks and Recreation announced the purchase of additional land. Officials said the acquisition will grow the park by 28 acres and add 1,200 feet of new shoreline to the popular lake, providing public access to the west side. According to a press release on Friday, the land was bought just east of Highway 89 for $2.5 million. Idaho officials said development of the land is planned to take place over several years, with possible additions including beach day use, paved parking, picnic shelters, and a few cabins or camping areas. Andrew Stokes, manager of Bear Lake State Park, said the new unit will help relieve pressure on the North Beach and provide access to the west side of the lake. Park officials added that providing a new point of public lake access will ease traffic and congestion created by the existing crowds of visitors. While half of Bear Lake is located in Idaho, where the land was purchased, the other half is located in Utah. One person was killed after a wrong-way driver collided with their vehicle on Legacy Parkway Sunday morning. Utah Highway Patrol Corporal Luis Silva said troopers were dispatched to reports of a head-on crash at 500 South on Legacy Parkway in Davis County shortly before 8 a.m. on March 17th. A southbound wrong-way driver operating a Toyota Camry reportedly collided with a northbound Chevy Impala. The drivers of both vehicles were transported to a nearby hospital, where the driver of the Chevy was later pronounced deceased by medical staff. Corporal Silva said that the wrong-way driver is suspected to have been under the influence during the time of the crash, though the incident is still under investigation. No other details were released. KBNU News Time is 5:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Devotion to country, service to Utah. Brent Orrin Hatch had a front row seat, watching his father serve our state faithfully in the Senate. A constitutional conservative and lifelong Republican, Brent Orrin Hatch is a champion for the rule of law. He's running for Senate to stop this lawless president from destroying our country from within. Hatch will fight to secure the border once and for all and take on Mexican drug cartels to halt the flow of deadly fentanyl. Brent Orrin Hatch knows the national debt is just as big a threat to national security. Hatch won't rest until the budget's balanced and won't cave to the big spenders in both parties. Pro-life, deeply committed to religious liberty, rock-solid Utah conservative. Brent Orrin Hatch for Senate. Paid for by Conservative Outsider PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.copac.us.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley, or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Hi Cache Valley, Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden. I enjoy giving advice about yard and garden care. In fact, some people even consider me to be their personal garden Google. Spring is finally here, and now's the best time for bare root plants. We have fruit trees like apples, pears, nectarines, and small fruits like raspberries, strawberries, grapes, and even blueberries. Anderson's bare root sale is right now. The bare root tree sale doesn't last long. Get the best selection before they're gone at Anderson Seed and Garden, 69 West Center in Logan.
Hey golfers, are you ready for the golf season? Birch Creek's punch passes are on sale at the spring sale price, currently at a $40 discount, and are on sale through March 31st. Visit birchcreekgolf.com and purchase your punch pass online. Birch Creek's punch passes never expire and are valid 7 days a week. So if you love golf, call Birch Creek today or visit birchcreekgolf.com and purchase your punch pass at the spring sale price. That's Birch Creek Golf Course in Smithfield.
The Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show, presented by Anderson Seed and Garden, is Friday and Saturday, March 22nd and 23rd at the Eccles Eye Center. Experience over 100 vendors with gardens, concrete, doors, windows, pest control, landscaping, cabinetry, home remodeling, solar information, tree care. The list is endless. Food and fun and kids activities provided by the United Way of Cache Valley. Free parking, easy access, and so many ideas at this year's Cache Valley Home and Garden Show at the Eccles Eye Center, March 22nd and 23rd.
St. Joseph's Indian School is much more than a school for Native American children.
It's like a family. Classes are fun here. I am learning about my culture.
Since 1927, St. Joseph's Indian School has provided children the education, health care, and support they need to succeed. To help give our kids brighter futures, learn more at stjo.org today.
What if the second deadliest cancer in men and women could be prevented? Would you try to avoid the pain? And what if you could protect yourself without leaving your home? Colorectal cancer is highly preventable. Screening is important, safe, and most people have options. Ask your doctor which screening test is right for you. Learn more from the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at getscreened.org.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle. Call your roadside assistance provider or insurance company for towing company suggestions, or consult with police on the scene. And always have the price and terms in writing before you let them hook it up. If you suspect fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB or visit www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the U.S., 19 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you have someone in need of an organ transplant, visit MatchingDonors.com. Home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. MatchingDonors.com.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Coming up this hour, first here, get underway with a bit of a programming announcement for those. We usually would be going to a coach's show, but we got word there would be no coach's show. And so it will be Dave Ramsey coming up after this. So for those who have expected the coach's show, there will not be one tonight. We'll keep you posted if that is rescheduled this week. And also...
Go Aggies later this week, taking on TCU, the Horned Frogs.
It's been exciting to watch the Aggies start to draw the attention here as the we haven't even gotten to the official.
Although I don't know, everybody is saying the Mountain West. They were not well respected in the seeding that they gave most teams, except for San Diego State, which got a very generous 4 seed, I think. Yeah, most teams I think kind of got the short straw, which is pretty amazing. That an entire conference can make everyone mad. In their seeding, but look at all the teams they took, though.
Big.
It's pretty good good showing for the Mountain West.
Well, and I think it sets the stage for some really exciting years to come. Let's put it that way. But this year has been fun in a lot of different ways. So no complaints from me, though I understand those griping about their seeding. Justified. So, but again, just a programming note, no coaches show tonight as planned, and we will be going to Dave Ramsey at 6, and if that's rescheduled sometime other this week, we'll let you know. So, back to our show here. A caller on the line. So let me set this up again, and we'll be getting to a couple of different things this hour as planned. This study showing that working class careers not well represented in our in our part-time legislature, which is supposed to be the point of a part-time legislature, that you have an eclectic mix of professions and backgrounds representing everyone in the state, making up the legislative body for 45 days a year. Not so much here in Utah, but we'll talk about what this means or doesn't and what might be causing it, according to the researchers behind this study. That's coming up. Also, recapping the legislative session and the bills signed by the governor, what they did to your life, as Fox 13's Ben Winslow likes to put it, and what has been vetoed by the governor. Very little so far, but we'll break that down later on this hour as well. Kicking things off here, though, our good friend Bill on the line. Bill wants to go back to our topic from Hour 1, both topics from Hour 1. In Hour 1, I talked about the governor giving this Gridiron Club speech, a humorous speech, very funny, and people kind of reacting to these events as them being distasteful, that the press and elected officials shouldn't mingle buddy-buddy, chummy-chummy at nighttime dinner events, yucking it up, like the White House Correspondents' Dinner or the Gridiron Club. I'm of two minds on it. The other topic from hour one was, of course, this lawsuit that has been filed against the state of Utah by a right-leaning, a conservative conservation group, the Western Lands. I'm getting it wrong. I think it's Western Conservation Organization. It's a conservative-leaning group, and they end up a lot of times on the same side as left-leaning environmentalist groups but coming at it for a different reason. Their goal as a group is to ensure access to outdoor recreation, hunting, and fishing, which, of course, is now a constitutional right here in Utah, thanks to House Joint Resolution 15, sponsored by Representative Casey Snyder. Well, that organization is suing the state of Utah over another Snyder bill, Representative Casey Snyder's 2023 House Bill 469, which was changed in the final days of the session by Senator Scott Sandel to include a cougar hunting free-for-all, trail snaring, no license needed, kill as many as you want, we don't care. Basically overriding 5 years of careful management by the Department of Wildlife Resources here in Utah on cougar management, recognizing that predators are a key component of ecologies and healthy deer populations and keeping things like wasting disease and more down. This group has sued, saying this is irresponsible of the state and violates the constitutional protection now on the books here in Utah to a right to hunt and fish, saying without careful management even of predator populations, which are necessary for healthy deer and other populations, then certainly you could run out of things to hunt, and that right to hunt and fish would then have been violated by the state. It'll be interesting to see where this lawsuit goes, but also in the same report, news that the provision in this bill that created this cougar hunting free-for-all was basically a gift to a handful of wool growers in southern Utah by Senator Sandel. Just one of the uglier sides of the legislature when this bait-and-switch stuff happens. So those were the two topics for hour one, and our good friend Bill would like to weigh in on both. Bill, hello. How was your day?
Oh, I got a broken toe.
Oh, no.
Got to go down to Orthopedic Center in Salt Lake. But
good luck with that.
Okay, let's deal with the Cougars first.
Okay.
You know, producers, what happens, one producer might get hit really hard by cougars, lose a good percentage of his lamb crop. People will say, oh, yeah, the state pays them for it. The state only pays them for that lamb. They don't pay them for the future loss. You know, if it's a ewe, she's got a lifetime that she could produce lamb.
Sure, which is now gone, right?
There's been resistance for people to include that cost.
Sure.
You look at any wildlife manager. The Nature Conservancy finally had to get out of paying for wolf depredations and stuff.
Yeah, just a few years ago, right?
Yeah, and, you know, I worked on that project. So we always have this battle. Way over this way, you know, don't kill any cougars. Let's kill some cougars. And until we get it so it's a fair payment for the producer, these kind of bills are going to come up that say, kill every cougar.
Yeah.
It's the battle the environmental groups, the hunters, the producers play, and they go the extremes on each side.
Sure.
I mean, there's no shortage of cougars. We had at least one or two running around inside the city limits of Logan.
That's that's the argument that DWR is making, Bill, is that they're saying, look, for 5 years we've managed this really well, and this bill in 2023 upends the apple cart for reasons we don't understand. They testified against it, and that's a pretty big deal, and yet it didn't stop the bill. Lawmakers passed it, and the governor signed it.
Being in the middle on this fight, on all these when it comes to, you know, charismatic megafauna.
Sure.
You know, but you have to manage it.
Sure. Yeah, you have to, especially
producers lose, you know. Hey, I read information sometimes of where, you know, this is different places in the country, you know, mountain lions, bears, and everything do something called surplus killing. They'll come out there and they'll kill 40 lambs a night or 40 sheep a night or whatever they can get and not eat a single one.
No, it's part of their own attempts at keeping their if they're fat and happy, to keep to keep competitors out of their area, they'll go kill all the food. It's a thing that really happens. That said, though, you know, mountain lions are not the mountain lion population in Utah not exactly exploding, according to DWR. It's not. But like I said, they have a tendency to hit, you know, one farmer, one producer really hard, and they'll suffer great loss. So you're saying if the state stepped up and better compensate them for their losses, then they wouldn't advocate for these unrealistic, let's kill them all. You know, on the kill them all perspective, Bill, I know this is something you know about too, and I don't remember what state it was, but there was a kill them all state, and they effectively, I think it might have been a part of Montana. They effectively wiped out it was Wyoming. They effectively wiped out the mountain lion population in their region. And the next year, all the deer died as a wasting disease spread like wildfire. And that year, the state sold 15% of the hunting licenses they normally sold each year, and they learned their lesson. And then the year after that, they were importing mountain lions. It was the craziest story. Anyway.
Okay, let's go to Governor Cox.
Okay, how do you feel about these dinners? It's always interesting to see how people react to this.
I'm fine with those dinners. I think nothing's wrong with them. I'm fine with them. People that are complaining about that need to get a life.
I'm kind of with you.
Say about that, and I'll let you continue on.
Well,
Bye.
Thank you for the call, Bill. Always good to hear from you. I'm with Bill. I agree. I mean, I understand why people, it might balk at the idea of these dinners happening, because you do have journalists and elected officials. They're supposed to be, a bit at odds with each other, and at times forced to be at odds with each other when a politician's trying to hide something and a journalist is trying to figure it out. But I think there's nothing wrong, and maybe even something beneficial in them all sitting down once a year. If this was happening nightly or weekly, I might have a different opinion. But once a year, they sit down at these gridiron dinners that Cox spoke at over the weekend, or the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is coming up in May in D.C., and they joke and they poke fun at themselves and each other. And I think it's actually kind of a healthy thing to do. So, Bill, always good to hear from you. Thank you for calling. And to other listeners out there, if you'd like to chime in, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
Are you getting overwhelmed by decisions regarding Social Security? Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help you secure your financial future by helping you navigate the complexities of the Social Security system. The team of experts at Adams Wealth Advisors is ready to guide you through the process and tailor a custom financial plan that fits your goals and aspirations. With Adams Wealth Advisors, it's not just about managing your wealth, it's about empowering your future. Call 752-1702 or search online for Adams Wealth Advisors to schedule an appointment with a Social Security expert today.
Spring is here and new deals are blooming at Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Cadillac. Pick your new car at our spring sales event. Everything feels new in spring, so pick a Murdoch GMC and drive renewed. Receive up to 2.9% for 6 years on a new Sierra 1500 or up to $10,000 off a new Sierra 1500 SLT. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family at Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at MurdochChevroletLogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 866-628-3065 to see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 4/1/24.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I'm going to leave this up to listeners to form, an opinion on without kind of tipping the scales with my own, other than to say I'm of two minds, but I'll just describe it. This was a study that was done by some political scientists at BYU working with journalists at Utah News Dispatch and legislative researchers who also collect data about the legislature each and every session. And what they did is they looked at the traditional things, how many lawmakers missed votes and how often this year, who were those lawmakers, yays to nays, how many unanimous consent bills versus unanimous opposed bills, were Democrats passing more bills than they had in the past, even though they're a real minority in the House and the Senate, those types of questions, typical things that you'd see as a legislative recap. But they asked another one this year. Basically, in our part-time legislature, every lawmaker, House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats alike, have day jobs. And so they went through the listed professions, and they put them into these categories, and then they found something interesting, and that is the headline of the Utah News Dispatch article about the study that they were a part of. Blue-collar workers not well represented in the legislature. Meanwhile, real estate finance, real estate developing, attorneys, those in banking, well represented. In fact, overrepresented. Again, two minds. I get why people bristle at this, because it does kind of fly in the face of what our part-time legislature is supposed to be about, which is the reason you want, in my opinion, you want a part-time legislature is they have to have those day jobs. They're not paid to be legislators. There are pros and cons to both, and some argue that it's just a choice of different potential corruption or flaws in the system, and that's probably closest to the truth. But I like the part-time because they have day jobs. They aren't doing this year-round. I think it forces them to be accessible and to remember, working stiffs. That said, I would like to see more blue-collar job holders representing us in the legislature. The trouble is not many blue-collar workers can afford to take, or their employers can afford to have them, in some cases as well, take 45 days a year off, plus once a month, 1 day for interim meetings. That blue-collar jobs, it's a little harder to do that. A banker, an attorney, far easier to do that. The more money you have, basically, the closer you are to retirement, the higher up the leadership or management chain at your place of employment, etc., would all make it a lot easier to be a lawmaker, and that's why they run. Plus, sometimes running can be expensive, so having a bit of money there. Again, I'd like to see this representation be more reflective of the industries that dominate Utah's economy, which is more than real estate and lawyering. That said, I feel like our legislature is still pretty accessible. I'm not sure this matters as much as the reaction online today to the headline implies. What do you think? I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and you can check it out for yourself. And we'll be back with more of For the People and talk about what the governor signed and vetoed. Not a lot of vetoes so far. That's after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:31, and the news brought to you by Bell Medical. A former Logan City police officer has been charged with sexual abuse and illegally accessing personal information for an incident that occurred while he was on duty last year, according to charging documents. 27-year-old Carlos Jonathan Cubias was charged Friday with forcible sexual abuse, a second-degree felony, and 4 misdemeanor counts of unlawful access or use of criminal investigations and technical services division records, along with texting or emailing while driving. According to public records, Cubias worked as an officer for the Logan City Police Department from 2023, or make that from 2020 to 2023. The department confirmed that he resigned in May of last year, which was shortly after the alleged offenses. The charging documents allege Cubius was in his patrol car around 2 a.m. on April 30th of last year. Prosecutors say he spotted two young women walking alone, then made a U-turn and called them over to his vehicle. Cubius then allegedly insisted that the pair get in his vehicle and allow him to drive them to their destination. According to the charging documents, he then asked the women sexually charged questions, and after arriving at their destination, he demanded one of them to give him her phone number. While she was putting her number into his phone, he allegedly reached under his pants and grabbed her behind. Later, according to prosecutors, Cubius looked up the victim's personal information on the Utah Criminal Justice Information System in 4 instances. He's also accused of texting her while driving his patrol vehicle. Court records show Cubius is scheduled to make an initial court appearance April 29th in Box Elder County. He could face up to 15 years in prison if convicted. A 17-year-old is in critical condition after allegedly being shot by 2 other teens following a party in West Valley City early Sunday. According to police, the suspects, a 17 and 15-year-old, had asked the victim for a ride home from the party, but gave bad directions during the drive. When the car stopped, one of the suspects fired a shot through the driver's seat. The teenage suspects got out of the car and ran away after the shooting and were possibly picked up by another driver. The victim was transported to the hospital in critical condition, although they are stable and are able to talk to police. Police say the suspects have a history of violent encounters and a search is underway. KBNU News Time is 5:34.
Wouldn't it be nice to lose a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat, just like that? At Bell Medical, with our uniquely patented FDA-cleared procedures, we are able to permanently remove that stubborn, hormonal fat that almost seems impossible to get rid of. And we are able to do it in a way that is so precise, we can guarantee a minimum of 2 to 5 inches of fat loss after 1 visit with us.
Schedule your free consultation at our Bountiful Clinic at bellmedical.com and let us make your dreams a reality.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. Insurmountable is how Donald Trump's lawyers describe their inability to get enough cash to post bond for his appeal of the financial fraud civil judgment in New York. It's due a week from today. ABC's Aaron Katersky.
So bottom line, Trump wants the court to let him post a smaller bond. His lawyers say securing anything close to $464 million is a practical impossibility.
The judge overseeing Mr. Trump's criminal prosecution in New York on the hush money payment to the porn actress says he cannot exclude the infamous Access Hollywood tape or testimony from key witnesses. Tomorrow, a former Trump advisor reports to jail in Miami. Peter Navarro, a 4-month sentence, contempt of Congress for ignoring a subpoena from the January 6th committee. The Supreme Court denied Navarro's request to stay free while he appeals. Famine conditions in Gaza are called unprecedented by the head of the UN Office on Humanitarian Affairs. This is ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, low in the mid-30s, and then sunny, close to 60 tomorrow, sunny around 60 on Wednesday. All the way to 67 today. It's 65 right now at KBNU. Chat online with the advocates if you are not at fault, if you've been injured in a car, trucking, or slip and fall accident. UtahAdvocates.com or call 801-355-5550. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Hey business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Extra Pro of Logan celebrates a decade of joy, giving away dream playhouses at the Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show. 10 years of crafting wonder for your kids, and this year is no exception. This life-size playhouse, a marvel for young imaginations, could be yours. Visit Extra Pro this weekend, March 22nd and 23rd at the Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show, and enter to win this one-of-a-kind creation at their booth. Make memories that last a lifetime. Your family's dream playhouse from Extra Pro awaits.
The advocates care about your cycling accident and have attorneys who are fellow riders. They understand the risks you face when you ride, and they want to see you get back on your bike and out on the road. If you were hit while enjoying a leisurely ride or training for the next big cycling race, the advocates' injury attorneys can help. We are available 24/7, and we don't get paid unless we win your case. Chat anytime at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550 today. Cyclists deserve an advocate.
The Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show, presented by Anderson Seed and Garden, is Friday and Saturday, March 22nd and 23rd at the Eccles Ice Center in North Logan. A sure sign spring is on the way. Experience hundreds of home and gardening ideas. This year's Home and Garden Show has over 100 businesses that are excited to help your home and yard look better than ever. The Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show, March 22nd and 23rd at the Eccles Ice and Event Center in North Logan. Don't miss this year's show.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show. And I'm going to do my best to recap the legislative session. 45 days doesn't seem like a long time, but when they're debating close to 600 bills, with 150 of those bills passed in the final 2 days, it's tough. But I made some notes. I kept notes throughout the session, and some highlights, lowlights, things like that. The 45-day session, lawmakers requested a total of 1,487 bills, and then actually introduced with language, with actual words in the bill, 933 bills. And then in the end, they passed 591, setting a new record 3 years in a row. Yay. So, what did they do? Well, they're obviously the big ticket items that got a lot of attention. The $2 billion package designed to lure Major League Baseball and National Hockey League into Utah and construct stadiums, with the state helping with that, with taxpayers helping with that. To be clear, neither bill directly gives taxpayer money to the stadium construction, but creates what lawmakers call a special district, and it sort of spans the Utah State Fair Park and surrounding areas a bit, and then it would carve out some sales tax dollars and put that back into incentivizing the stadium construction. It would be a state-owned stadium at that point. That's for the Major League Baseball package. The NHL package creates what's called a reinvestment district right in downtown Salt Lake, and city leaders will then have the option to raise the sales tax 0.5% to help construct. This would be kind of a joint project between the NBA, rebuilding the Delta Center, and an NHL arena, and a remodel of the Delta Center in some way would be part of that. So that got a lot of attention, of course. There were other big bills, like Governor Cox's homelessness initiative. In his budget in December, he asked for a little over $100 million, I think, for housing aid and homelessness in Utah. And lawmakers gave him, there's about $25 million at the end of the session for what they call a low barrier shelter, expanding access to that. And then in the annual liquor bill, they rounded up on the sales tax on liquor, so it increased to liquor prices in state-owned liquor stores. And that money would then be earmarked for the homeless trust fund. So it gives you kind of an idea of where some of that went. So that's an overview of some of the bigger issues that got attention. There were, of course, the culture war bills at the start of the session. That got a lot of attention. A bill to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in higher education. That got watered down deservedly by pushback from higher ed and lawmakers getting caught saying that they'd not been presented evidence that DEI offices are working, when then universities came back and said, well, actually, you were presented with that evidence. You just ignored it. It kind of sent a harmful message, I think. But it's a popular culture war thing, and our lawmakers can't seem to help themselves these days from that kind of stuff. Along cultural lines, there was also the brouhaha over state school board member Natalie Klein targeting a high school athlete, accusing a young woman of being transgender, which led to Klein's minions doxing the family and threatening the family, and the school had to hire security for the student. It was a very embarrassing episode. Klein, if she had any shame, would resign. She isn't. She's actually running for re-election, and the House and Senate censured her, which is the strongest condemnation the legislature can offer without actually going for impeachment. People were critical of them not going towards impeachment. The defense lawmakers had is, we've never done that before. And that's where things kind of landed. So there were also smaller bills, though, and smaller issues that didn't get as much attention. And that's what I kind of want to highlight this hour. Notes that I took through the session that didn't, as far as I can see, generate a single headline. For example, there was a bill that created a bias incident hotline where people can report incidents that might not rise to the level of a hate crime, but would definitely, qualify as some sort of bias against, specifically mentioned by the bill sponsor when the bill was being presented, was bias incidents against Jewish and Muslim community members. That bill failed to advance in the final days of the session, but it did survive a committee hearing. And there was also a bill to expand crime victim rights before the parole board, and that's during when they're considering sentencing. And that bill makes it a crime of unlawful sexual activity with a minor, even if the defendant is 18. But is still in high school at the time of the crime. And then a separate bill that was kind of tied to this made it a crime for a person in a position of trust, like a teacher, to engage in sexual activity with a high school student, even if the student is 18. And lawmakers, I don't even know why they made pantsing a misdemeanor crime. I have no idea where that comes from. I know this is something that happened at my high school when I was that age, but now it's a misdemeanor. Don't ask me. There was a bill to crack down on police quotas. This is actually already barred in the state of Utah, but it isn't enforced. It isn't aggressively pursued. That bill never got a hearing, surprisingly, but there was a lot of support for that. Juveniles who are interrogated by police, their interviews must be recorded. This was Representative Marcia Judkins who pushed that bill, and I was surprised to find that wasn't already required here in Utah. But, so that's now official in Utah, that you have to, the law enforcement has to record and document the full interview. So along the lines of your government, I've talked about this before. Lawmakers, unfortunately, and the governor, unfortunately, signed a bill that would block the calendars of state officials, elected officials, members of the legislature, the governor himself. Their calendars would be blocked from public view. This is a direct assault on transparency in Utah. This is rolling back a 40-plus, or almost 40 years old, actually, as of this year. I just realized. 40-year-old open government laws here in Utah known as GRAMA, the Government Records and Access Management Act, GRAMA. It's done a great job, and attempts to carve out exceptions in it over the years have always been thwarted until this year. Lawmakers had some pretty specious arguments on why this needed to happen. In fact, the Salt Lake Tribune has a great article picking apart their arguments and showing that none of them are true. Now, of course, local media being very nice in how they say that. They're not coming right out and say, the lawmakers lied. They're saying things like they don't pass the truth test or hard to find justification to prove and things like that. But basically, lawmakers made a bunch of things up for something they've wanted to do for years, and they just steamrolled it through this year, showing again that they just feel a lack of accountability to the public, sort of like a what are you going to do kind of thing that pervades our legislature a lot these days, unfortunately, led to this. Senator Bramble, the sponsor of the bill, argued that it was just clarifying existing law and that calendars had never been a public record. This is patently false. And I know that from serving on the State Transparency Advisory Board, where we discussed this for several meetings for about a year on whether or not addresses and phone numbers that might make it into, say, a lawmaker's calendar that was then requested through a public records request could be redacted, which, of course, as a board, we said, sure, addresses and phone numbers, those should be redacted. But to say that calendars had never been a public document, Senator Bramble, absolutely false. That was unfortunately repeated in the House by Representative Brady Brammer as well, the House sponsor of Bramble's bill. This, of course, comes right as a judge ruled that Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes' calendar is a public record. This bill doesn't change that, but it's obviously a response to that, and it's an unfortunate thing because it is absolutely in the public's interest to see a calendar of an elected official. It's something that really you should have access to and you should be able to see. But unfortunately, for the time being, that is not the way it works here in Utah. So speaking of the Attorney General, there was a bill that blocked the Utah Attorney General from participating in side hustles. That was the actual terminology used on the House floor during the discussion and debate. Senator Andrew Stoddard told Fox 13 News that he ran the bill over questions around the Attorney General's work with Operation Underground Railroad. The Attorney General doing some outside lawyering, basically, making money off of it. And this bill says that the state Attorney General cannot do that. So, then finally, this was actually a good thing, though a technicality. Lawmakers passed a bill to update the definition of what constitutes an electronic meeting in Utah, just to make it official. Everyone was doing this already, but to make it official that an electronic meeting would include audio or video attendance at a meeting. And the bill says elected officials may not act together outside of a meeting in any concerted effort to predetermine the outcome of the meeting. I don't know how you'd enforce this, but it's now officially on the books that if you're caught doing that, it is against the law here in Utah. So, and one final thing to mention, all hour we're going to be recapping this, but I wanted to mention this as well. I didn't know this was happening, but a bill also blocked lobbyists from contacting lawmakers at their place of work. Most of our state legislators have day jobs outside of being elected legislators, and this was apparently happening where lobbyists were having a hard time getting hold of lawmakers during the outside of the 45-day session period of the year, and so they were tracking them down at work. And I don't know why any lobbyist would think that was a good idea, but. And also, we've had him on the show a few times, but there was a signature gathering effort to do away with Utah's new state flag. We have two state flags, the official one and then this more updated sort of fancy, looks good on a T-shirt one. That bill, or that signature gathering drive failed. They only got about half the signatures they needed to get that on the ballot. And so the backers got someone running for governor, Representative Phil Lyman. They got him to sponsor a bill that would just do it legislatively, just do away with the new state flag. That bill didn't even survive a committee hearing. So that has obviously been decided by the legislature at this point. So recapping the 45-day legislative session here on the show. And stick with us. More to come right after this.
Experience the timeless magic of the Carpenters with Carpenters Platinum Tribute Concert at the Ellen Nichols Theater in Logan, Friday, March 29th. Get ready to immerse yourself in the captivating melodies and unforgettable hits of the Carpenters. Carpenters Platinum takes you back in time with classic hits close to you. We've only just begun and more. This tribute concert promises to be an enchanting evening filled with the iconic sounds that have defined generations. Carpenters Platinum. Friday, March 29th, Ellen Nichols Theater in Logan.
Disasters don't wait for a convenient time. When the unexpected strikes, call the trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
There's one thing going into this election year we've got to just stand back and marvel at. All conventional political gravity that would normally apply to a presidential candidate does not apply to Donald Trump. They have made Donald Trump, they've done the impossible. A fighter like Donald Trump, they've turned into a sympathetic figure.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU.
Save a life. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Wrapping up today's show on a lighter note, something I'm trying to do every show, just make sure we go out in the final few minutes with something more pleasant than a lot of the headlines we've discussed, at least typically, because the news cycle seems to be just unpleasant a lot of days, especially in election years. But we'll get to that in a bit. Getting back to our topic from the start of the hour, again, this was a question from a listener, and the question basically was, does it matter? So for those who missed it, at the start of the hour, we talked about this study that showed that, when it comes to Utah's legislature, working class, not well represented. The majority of the legislature hails from professions like, keep in mind, the point of a part-time legislature, as its advocates argue, is that they have day jobs. And so you have people representing you as lawmakers who have to go to work, have other jobs, or have real jobs. And therefore, you can have a better representation. But this kind of flies in the face of that when you see the makeup of the legislature and realize that the industries most represented are real estate finance, real estate development, and attorneys are well represented, and landlords. So understandably, people look at that and say, that's distasteful. And the listener says, does it matter? And that's honestly such a great question, because I don't know. One of the reasons I think the professional makeup, I agree with those who say it kind of flies in the face of the justification for a part-time legislature. It does. But at the same time, your alternative is a full-time legislature in which their job is being a legislator. And that comes with some ugly stuff, too. And maybe it's just a choice of different ugly stuff between the two systems. That's the cynical take. But one of the things that I think still works well in our legislature for the time being, and maybe this will change one day and I'll have to revisit my opinion on this, but one of the reasons that I don't care as much, it would be great if there was more blue-collar representation in the legislature. If there were more than these 4 lawmakers that the study found that work in, blue-collar working-class jobs that aren't sitting in an office in a suit and tie lending money and signing checks to build things, but not actually building anything. I would like that. But to this listener's question, does it really matter? Right now with our legislature, I don't think so. And one of the reasons is they're still very accessible, meaning blue-collar workers, families from blue-collar, histories, which sometimes is generational, farming families, low-income families, middle-income families. Right now, anyone, for the most part, can go to their lawmaker and have a conversation with them or present ideas or express concerns. And the lawmaker, if they're doing their job, will listen and respond. Now, not every lawmaker is the same, and some are better at listening and responding than others. We even see that here in Cache Valley when you look at, say, the difference between Representative Dan Johnson and Representative Snyder and Representative Peterson. I've had them all described to me by their constituents in very different ways: accessible, willing to learn, and in the case of Peterson, hard to get a hold of and disinterested. And you can see that playing out in the bills that are run, or in Peterson's case, lack thereof, when it comes to representing their district, which is their job. So it's not perfect, is my point, and you can have flaws in the system, but I feel like they're still very accessible, and to me, that makes their profession, their day job, matter less. Now, if that starts to change, which, other states have already seen, states like Nevada and Colorado, it's not as easy for people to get in and talk to their lawmakers or get their lawmakers on the phone or exchange an email back and forth with them. But here in Utah, it's still pretty easy. And so in my mind, that makes their day jobs matter less. If that starts to change, as population grows, maybe we'll see it get harder and harder for lawmakers to find time to interact with constituents via email or a phone call or an in-person visit. And in that case, I think their day job and their experience as individuals in their professional lives outside of being a lawmaker matters a lot more. But for the time being, to answer the listener's question, my take, it doesn't really matter what their jobs are right now, but keep an eye on it. It might really matter in the future. Okay, the promise to wrap up on something positive. This is actually just something I've posted to our Facebook page, and you can go check it out. But everyone knows the jokes and cliches about puppies, right? You want to improve someone's day, you want to improve your own day, just find a picture of a puppy, right? And everything gets great after that. Well, there is actually some science to this. Check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. But the science basically says that there is actually something about not just puppies, but young animals, baby animals, and their faces that actually causes a chemical shift in your brain that brings about men and women alike, children and old people alike, feelings of nurturing, feelings of feelings of, isn't the world a fun and beautiful place? Some actual science to show that puppies can actually be really good for you and can help you think. In addition to lowering your blood pressure and sort of rectifying chemical imbalances that might exist in the head for even those with clinical depression, for example, to the average person just having a bad day and having that bad day turn around by the face of a puppy. The science behind that feeling when you see a puppy. Link on our Facebook page. There's your happy moment of zen for the day. And we'll be back tomorrow with more of For the People. No Coaches show tonight. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.